There is nothing wrong with your television set. Do not attempt to adjust the picture. We are controlling transmission.
Live.
Are we?
We are.
Fantastic.
Episode 114. We got a cool topic for tonight. A new
Yeah.
one. We haven't done this before.
No, we haven't. And, you know, we had talked about people worrying that, oh, well, it's musky, so I'm not going to watch.
Yeah.
Well, that's ridiculous.
No, don't have that thinking at all. Because there's always something, and we purposely want to put some nuggets of info in these types of shows that apply to everybody, whether you're building a musky rod or ice rod, spinning, casting, fly, whatever. We always try to incorporate other aspects that can kind of cross over into different applications.
Always.
Yeah.
So, even though it is musky, you can just take it and catch a snook off a jetty. You can cast a big swim bait for bass. You can do all kinds of cool stuff.
Yeah.
You're gonna be able to utilize it for so many other things rather than, you know, the fish of 10,000 casts is insane.
Right. Yeah, there's some good nuggets of, full length grips we're going to go over, from cork to CFX to American Tackle G2, carbon grips. A lot of this could overlap into, your swim bait rods and even like inshore and heavier inshore snook, tarpon rods. There's plenty of good information, and not just specific to a certain rod builder, this and that, but plenty of rod building tips we're going to mix in. You've actually got a couple for full length cork grips.
Yeah.
Pretty sharp.
It might make you go, oh gosh, I can't believe he's going to do that.
Yeah, so some good stuff there. But for the show, we're going to talk about, obviously, blank recommendations for musky rods. We're going to talk about...
Because there might not only be musky blanks that we're going to talk about.
Exactly, good point. We're going to talk about, obviously, handle configurations, handle specs.
Yes.
When you're talking about a musky rod or any, heavier freshwater rod, really that handle section that's kind of your driving force behind, that particular rod.
I think it can make or break a build.
Yeah.
For sure, because it's kind of the same with some offshore stuff where you're like really locked into a position if you're reeling. You're kind of the same with a musky blank if you're making casts and then fighting a fish. And there's a lot of other motions during musky fishing that there isn't, like just chucking and winding with a bass rod.
For sure. Obviously, grips are a factor, and seats. We got to talk about real seats.
Uh-huh.
And then last but not least, we'll talk about guides. So guide trains, stripping guide sizes, and running guide sizes, which that can be a debated topic about, what size running guides should I use? Not only what size, but single foot running guides, double foot running guides. So we'll mix that in as well.
Yeah, because we might mention something, or we might say something tonight that is not necessarily like a myth buster, but kind of a thing of like, oh, well, I didn't think you could do that possibly. So hopefully, y'all stick around for that.
Yeah. All right, before we get into the demos and giveaways, which I know everyone is here for, housekeeping. So we have some new products / back in stock products we need to go over.
I don't mean to cut you off, but do you know that I can't see how many people are in this thing on this new update from Restream? Can you?
It's a mystery.
You can? Oh, because I see live and then I see the counter, but I can't see... Oh. It's how many?
169.
Oh, okay. All right.
Technology, right?
Yeah, right?
Crazy.
Okay, cool. Somebody said 44. Perfect. Thanks, Adam. Wonderful.
Right.
Anyway, Hunter.
Housekeeping.
Let's talk to those 44 people.
New products. But first, we're going to start with a back in stock product, which is this right here that I'm looking at. I'm going to flip this. We get that nice logo placement in there.
Perfect.
So the CRB spine Finder. That logo in there. There we go. So not only is this this is obviously been out of stock for a little while, got it back in stock, and it is better than ever before. With a simple addition, we have added in every spine finder going forward, we've added 2 of these bearing covers. So in the past, if you use a spine finder, there is really no protection between the bearing itself and your rod blank. So if I turn this spine finder a little bit, you really can't exactly see it.
Yeah, you can.
You see it a little bit?
Come back a little bit.
Red.
There you go, right there.
Right there? Close enough? So
Yeah.
what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here.
It's already out.
It's already out. That's why. Jeez. Let's go this end. How about that? There we go. You see the mat end. I'm mixed up already. It's too early for this.
Yeah.
So I'm going to pop this thing out. What I like to use is if you got a handy burnishing tool, what I like to do is, because these things have a fairly tight fit, and obviously, you don't want to have to be playing around with this thing too much. You want to just get it in, get it out. So I come in, I use this burnishing tool as kind of a little bit of a buffer, and it's simply just, if I can actually see what I'm doing here, you can pop it right out. So again, what this does is adds a little bit of a layer of protection between your rod blank and the bearing itself. And getting it in is a lot easier than trying to muscle it out of there. It simply just pops in. I'm doing this blind, just FYI, so that's why it's a little bit of a struggle. There you go. Pops right in like that. It's made of a pretty dense rubber material. So these things are super durable. They're flexible enough that you can pop them in and out. But anyway, like I said, each spine finder will come with a set of 2 going forward, so they come included. If you already have a spine finder, you can buy these separately in the 2-piece pack, and you can add them to your existing spine finder. So
Put that one in there. We'll show them real quick.
yeah.
Somebody's asking how to use that thing. So you can mount the spine finder to your workbench. You can also put it on your aluminum base track station. So put it in the spine finder, right? And then all you really need to do is, am I down? Okay. Keep in mind, there are 5 different positions, I think, right? I think. Pretty sure,
yeah.
because I think I wrote that. 5 different positions there. This head kind of articulates, so it will tilt back, tilt forward, whatever. You can get it where you want it. And then you put it in spine finder, and you deflect the blank like this. And of course, it will just roll into place when you find it. So you can very, very easily just roll it. There's some guides already on here, so you can see I am actually rolling it. But very, very easy. Smooth. The urethane protectors do the right protecting. So that's that.
Cool.
Very easy. There's your spine finder.
A few other mentions of new products is we rolled out some new black hole blanks recently. So 12 new blanks total across 5 series. Slow pitch, surf, popping, travel blanks. So a couple good selections on there. Those are actually, if you go to the homepage of mudhole.com, scroll down to new products about halfway down the page, and you'll see a few of those new blanks from Black Hole. Last but not least, Fuji BB guides and tops tips. So we've had these for several weeks now, and we'll be continuing to getting more and more restocks. But across the K guides, KW, KT, KL, KLH, the Fuji BB is a dark gray finish. So it's about as close as you can get to black without actually being black. But Fuji recently added those about a month ago. So we're working on getting not only all the guides, but also the remaining tips added as well. And Fuji does have even more new products. They got some new reel seats that we're working to get added, carbon grips. So lots of new Fuji stuff coming down the pipeline. We're just kind of breaking out in sections, and we got more to come. So
Sweet.
Yep.
That works. All right, so we got some giveaways tonight on Hunter's credit card. Did you already? I don't think you talked about these, did you?
No, giveaways?
Giveaways.
Not yet.
AT Guide Kit of Choice. So first giveaway tonight's going to be AT Guide Kit of Choice. You know, we'll work with you on that one, depending on if you want to do casting, spinning, you want to do the microwave stuff, whatever. Live@mudhole.com. That's how, if you win a prize tonight, or if you've got questions or concerns, or you want to tell, you know, Hunter something good or bad, or me good or bad, live@mudhole.com. That's how you get to us. Second giveaway of the night is going to be a carbon handle grip kit. We're going to talk about a number of different carbon handles tonight. We've got some really cool stuff from American Tackle. We've got some really cool stuff from CFX. There's no real, you know, like, oh, you have to have a full length. Oh, there's some split grips. We'll do a carbon handle kit for you. And then we're also going to do the grand prize tonight. It's going to be a Muskie. We got to make sure it's M-U-S-K-I-E, right? I mean, we're doing with a Y, we're doing with an I-E. We're an equal opportunity muskie fisher, men, women, rod builder. A Muskie Rod Kit. So we're going to go through and we'll get you a blank and handle guides. We're going to do the whole thing. So follow along. There is also a new giveaway tool. I say new, it's like, what, the last 2 episodes now, maybe, new? There is a link that every so often the guys are putting into the comments. You can enter throughout the show up until we do the last giveaway. You can also get extra giveaway points, enter multiple times. You can use the QR code, but don't freak out. You don't have to use the QR code if you're watching on a mobile device. There's a link in there, so don't freak out. You can go in there, you can add in additional giveaway chances, follow along, and hopefully we'll call your name. And for those that are not watching live right now on Tuesday night at 6:46 Eastern Standard Time, if you're watching in replay and you are already registered, you can still win. Even a week later, we've had somebody go like, oh, hey, I was rewatching the show and I noticed, you know, or I'm watching the first time, watching the replay, and I won. So don't worry. You can, as long as you get entered, you're good to go before the show. That's why we give you a month to get entered before we do it tonight. All right. Now that we got all that out of the way, let's start talking about some muskie blanks. And like, what makes up a muskie blank?
Yeah.
Why do you need a muskie blank? Do you have to have a muskie blank to catch muskie? So let's go over all of that. What do you, Hunter, give us in your mind, what is a muskie? I'm glad you brought those bags up here.
I know,
those
right?
are really,
I'm getting sick of these bags.
Just
I'll tell you,
yeah,
put
right?
them right down here.
All right, so when you think muskie blank, what do you think when somebody says muskie rod blank? Give it to me. What you got?
Oh, I mean, for one, we're talking, you know, heavy freshwater.
Okay.
This isn't no ultralight or light or medium.
Not muskie finesse?
We're talking, no, I don't think that's a thing yet, but hey.
Yeah, it's like jumbo shrimp, right?
It might be, exactly. Yeah. You know, we're talking about this, right? Whatever this thing is.
Yeah.
I don't know what the name of it is. I'm sure it's got some
It's a whistle dinger.
Whistle dinger, okay.
They have
Is
some
that-
ridiculous
I
names,
know.
I'm telling you.
I
think the only one I really know is the Whopper Plopper.
That's a good one.
And that one has kind of, you know, trickled down into bass fishing and
Yeah.
stuff. That was a Larry Dahlberg, I think.
Yep.
Um,
That one took
the
bass
old
fishing
Larry
by
Dahlberg.
storm.
Yes, it
It
did.
did.
But it came in the big hammer magnum
Yeah.
version of a Whopper Plopper.
Yeah, I think they refer to like wood choppers or something might be in
No,
there.
no. Wood chopper's different.
That's different?
Wood chopper was a peacock bass lure.
Okay,
That's
okay.
like a devil's horse on steroids.
I see.
It's
okay.
like a
prop bait.
big old prop bait.
Gotcha,
That's
okay.
a wood chopper.
Back to muskie.
Yeah.
I think of, you know, huge plastic swim baits,
This
right? Or whatever. That's not a swim bait. I don't know what that is, but
It swims.
okay. I think of huge.
It's not a walking bait.
I think of like, you know, big inline spinners, spinner bait kind of style, you know, deals.
Uh-huh.
I think of, you know, big topwater baits. And again, this isn't like a medium and under power range. This is like MH at the absolute least power
But I'm glad you said that. Keep going. We're going to talk about that in a minute.
up to, you know, heavy, extra heavy, and maybe even XXH.
Sure.
Typically, it's going to be a longer blank. You know, I'd say 7/6 at the
Minimum.
least. Upwards of, I'd say 8 foot's probably the sweet spot.
But they go up into 9.
Going up into 9, absolutely. I'm sure some of that's personal preference, technique, things like that. And obviously, one of the big things that those guys do is, at the end of that cast at the boat, they're doing the figure 8, because a lot of muskie will chase that bait up to the boat, and they'll be there. You might not even see the fish, but they really follow. And a lot of guys will do that figure 8 after every single cast. Right,
and the one time you don't do it, he was right there.
Exactly. So again, we're talking 7/6 and up, upwards of 9 foot, medium heavy plus. I'd say heavies and extra heavies are probably the normal. Big baits, full length handles, straight braid. Yeah, we're talking about some pretty heavy tackle
for sure. And since you mentioned the medium heavy, extra power, extra heavy, so something that y'all need to understand, and I know so many of you do understand it, but for just a minute, imagine that you're a new rod builder, because I know we have new rod builders in here all the time. Yes, there is a musky medium heavy, and there is a spin jig medium heavy, and there is a mag bass medium heavy. All of those are different ratings, even though they are a medium heavy. So just make sure that when you're going through and you're looking through rod blanks and you're in the musky category, or you're in a saltwater category, and then you're in a bass category, if we were to have only one rating through 20 series of blanks and different techniques, we would have to have like a 5X ultralight and a 9 extra heavy if we put them all in line from a bluegill rod to a marlin rod. And we can't do that because that's ridiculous. So please, I know that this sounds elementary, and for those that are expert rod builders out there, we appreciate y'all, but we also love the newbies. So do keep in mind that when you see medium heavy and it's in a muskie, it's going to be different than a medium heavy in your mag bass, MB843 that you're throwing a worm on for a smallmouth bass. Just keep that in mind as we go through this whole thing. So
yeah, and that's one of the best things about the MHX blank series is it's application specific. So we have a series of crankbait blanks, mag taper blanks, musky, spinning, which is kind of a general category for just spinning blanks overall. And within each series, like you said, the powers are relevant to that application. So, a medium heavy musky blank is not going to be the same as a medium heavy crankbait or mag taper blank.
No, sir. All right, so speaking of rod blanks, and this is a good point too, we're getting this like, I've never seen a muskie. There's no muskies in California. There's no muskie in Alabama. I'm aware. But we have a rod blank here that's out of the Bass Flippin' and Pitchin' series. I know you guys have some giant catfish in Alabama. I know out in California, y'all throw giant swim baits for bass. This all applies, okay? We're going to talk about rod blanks. That's going to do all of that. We're going to talk about handles. It's going to do all of that. We don't have muskie here in Florida either, but we might throw a 3-ounce swim bait open hook for giant snook. We might throw a flare hawk jig for big snook on a jetty off a pier. We might catch tarpon. All of that can be done on a muskie blank. And also muskie can be caught on a flippin' and pitching blank. So bear with me here. I know muskie are not everywhere.
What you want to do?
All right, so we're going to talk about favorites. And let's just go ahead and start with a muskie blank.
Yeah.
We'll start there, and then we'll start to connect the dots outside of the muskie. So Hunter, what muskie blank do we have over there?
So we have an MU, which is from the Muskie series. Pretty easy so far.
Going for a stretch here.
We have an MU 96H. So that's going to be an 8-footer. And it's going to be a 20 to 50 pound rating.
Okay.
2 to 6 ounces.
All right.
So that bait right there probably would be perfect to throw on this MU 96H. And I would say this is probably across the Muskie series within MHX, probably the most popular model go-to all-around, do-it-all model.
I would think so. It is the, pull that one out. And then, so it's what I caught my first muskie on. And I was throwing one of the giant bucktails. And it was awesome. I didn't catch a big muskie. So if you've seen a picture of it, and you might be like, that's not a muskie. Yeah, I know. It is a muskie, but it's not a giant muskie. So it was fine. It you know, I was about 9,981 casts in instead of 10,000. So I still caught one. The thing that makes this blank special in my very little muskie experience eyes is it is not heavy. And what I mean by that is when you pick it up, you're kind of like, okay. I thought that the muskie blank might be a little more like, ooh, right? So this is all graphite. This is not composite. There's no glass in here. But with the graphite that is in this, they're able to, it's a little lower modulus, but don't think like low modulus, like ugly stick type stuff. No, no, no. But they are able to put the ultra resin system and the modulus that is in the muskie blank to give you a really nice action power mixture so that when you are taking a 3-ounce lure and throwing it out there, it's not going to wear you out too bad. And it's also, you're not going to blow the tip out of it, right? Also, as Hunter had mentioned, when you get that fish boat side, this rod does need to be nimble enough that you can turn it and you can give it a little figure eight there to land that fish, or to entice that bite, I should say. Because you also have to understand that when you're short stringing a giant muskie boat side, the blank has to be kind of a certain way. You can't have something that's super extra fast. You can't have ultra high modulus. You can't do that. If you're throwing 65 or 80 pound braid and you get a muskie that eats inside of the length of the rod right here at your feet, a lot goes on in a very short period of time that, you know, you could blow something up. But that's why the muskie blanks are designed like that. This blank, though, in particular, we're gonna, when we talk about guides and tips and stuff too, the cool thing about this blank is it has a tip size that is a 7.5. This was done on purpose, and this is a very good complement to the American Tackle medium duty ring locks because, and we will talk about this a little bit later, but there was more thought that went into some of these blanks in terms of diameters and tip sizes and things like that. Now, granted, when you get into a longer blank, this one is an 8-footer, when you start to get into an 8.6 and a 9-footer, there are limitations on, you know, tip sizes. You can't get them down really, really small. But this one being a very popular blank, we were able to run a 7.5 tip and an 8-foot heavy, which is such a popular size.
And that's, you know, you really hit on a good thing there at the beginning, because that is a rod that you can build out and one that you can fish all day long with obviously the appropriate lure and this and that. You're not going to get super fatigued from fishing that rod all day.
A lot of casting.
Because in the hand, it's not as heavy as you would think. Now, once we get into some of these other blanks, especially that SWB, you're talking about a butt size that is, you know, quite a bit larger. It's got more material. Action is quite a bit different. But again, you know, personal preference plays a lot in a rod building and fishing.
This one is more moderate. This one also comes into play. This is an SWB 967. So this is a rod that is, and real quick before I run away from this, MU 96H, Muskie, MU 96 inches, heavy power, okay? Swim bait blank, SWB, swim bait, 967. So we're looking at another 96-inch rod blank, another 8-footer, and the 7 power, 2X heavy, 1X heavy. To be honest, yeah. So that's when you're reading some of these rod blanks. This is how you decipher the length and the powers Some of them will say an H for heavy. Some of them will have a number designation, but most of them are going to be in inches with a power. This blank is your swim bait blank for the Californians that don't have muskie. Okay, so you can throw a giant swim bait on this. No, you can't throw a 10-ounce swim bait on it, but you can throw some big ones. All those glide baits and such. 8-footer. Remember, you can also cut this a little bit if you really, really want to. This has got a more of a moderate, more of a lob. It does really great with the glide baits. Also, if you're throwing like an Alabama rig for your Bama guys.
Giant spoons.
Yep. Yeah, the big old, God, what was that, the nickel spoon back in the day? Yeah. That will lob this one and fish this one quite well. This will also do your musky thing, and it's a swim bait blank. Okay? Now, Hunter, tell us about the old...
one of my favorites.
Yeah. Talk to me. I'll let you do this one because I know you like this
one. So this is FP 937. Now, we've talked about this one. I'll go right here.
For all kinds of stuff.
Actually, I'm going to go, let's go this way.
Yeah, thank you.
FP 937. We've talked about this blank, obviously flipping and pitching. There is not a better rod blank in existence to punch mats with when you're talking about 1.5 ounces to 2 ounces.
Correct. Yep.
Period. Done. Now, this is not just a flipping and pitching blank, although that's what it was designed for.
We might have even caught a sailfish on it one time.
I was going to say next on the list is it makes a really good sailfish blank. And third on the list, it makes a really good musky blank as well.
Yes.
Again, what I like about this blank is it doesn't feel super heavy on the hand. It's, for its power, it's a fairly small diameter, but it packs a punch, a lot of power in this last third. 7.9 and a 7 power, which again, 7 power is relative to the pitching, flipping and pitching category, but
that one is also like ounce rated. It's rated to a 2.5 ounce. Don't quote me on this.
That's on the low side.
And do not send this into the Mudhole warranty program and say, well, Chris said that it would throw more, but it throws more. So
quite a bit more.
Yeah.
I'll back you up on that one.
Thank you.
Small diameter, can fish this all day and not be fatigued. Also a mod fast.
Yes.
So again, personal preference on action and power and things like that.
But not like a crankbait moderate fast. Not like an S-glass looking moderate fast.
Yeah, not like spongy or anything like that. Like
no, very responsive.
Very responsive, very crisp action. But a little bit of forgiveness. And again, if you're flipping and pitching or punching or sail fishing or trying to catch muskie, there's a lot to be said for a blank that has a mod fast action. There are certain cases, especially if you're at the boat or doing a figure eight or if you're flipping and pitching, you don't want to be super fast. And what I mean by super fast is too fast for the hook set.
Correct.
There are times where you want to have a little forgiveness with that reaction, with your own reaction time, and be able for those hooks to get into the fish. So anyway, one of my favorite blanks.
Yes.
Across the board, bass fishing, musky fishing, and
saltwater stuff.
Some saltwater stuff.
There's a lot of, and this is not new, but there's a big movement in Central and South Florida and plenty of other places, but they're out there throwing those NLBN, the no live bait needed, the giant, and I say giant, they got a range, but they do have some big. It's the hand-poured single swim bait with a jig head and an open hook. And tarpon, snook, they're catching, grouper on them around rocks, things like that.
Yeah,
all of these rod blanks that we're talking tonight will handle that stuff. Now, you do have to kind of go, okay, well, I'm throwing like a 1 ounce swim bait. If you're throwing the 1 ounce head in an NLBN or a flare hawk, maybe you drop down to the 936, which is just the smaller brother of the FP 937. Or if you're going to throw something up to 2.5 or so. I think we were looking at, or earlier today, I was looking at some of the NLBNs that we've got in the showroom, and they have a single swim bait jig head that's a 2 ounce head.
Ooh.
And they've got 7, 8, 9 inch swim baits, So all of these that we're talking about tonight are going to do it. So for those that are talking about in here, freshwater versus saltwater, things like that. And yes, Nate says Nate FN rods, wire graphite blanks labeled fresh and salt. The blank doesn't care. You're right. It does not care. The blank doesn't know what it's supposed to be. But remember, we gotta start somewhere. There has to be categories somewhere. Otherwise, if we just started, putting lengths and powers on things, how are you going to learn, right? So we do have to kind of guide people a little bit, and then they'll eventually, be like, oh man, this is kind of what I like, and then we take it and go catch a sailfish with it and sort of get, hey, you guys shouldn't do that. But not because it wouldn't handle it. It was just because it was like, well, it's called a flipping and pitching blank. And it's like, so we were pitching baits for sailfish. We caught them. So anyway, the FP 936, the FP 937, and I did also see somebody mention in there about an FP 885. Also, we were talking about tip tops. We're going to talk about this later. The FP line of rod blanks, when we all sat down and designed them, and Bob and we all had a hand in this stuff. This is a 6.5 tube size. The 885, the 936, the 935, the 937. They're all a 6.5. And there's a reason for that. We're going to talk about it later. So you don't have to use a size 8 tip top. But again, we're going to get into that. All right. So
one more.
What about a saltwater blank?
Yep.
How about a saltwater blank? This blank is a little bit heavier. The reason being is it's a slightly different graphite, and it has a 1K weave in it. I don't know if you can see this. Justin, come in on here a little tighter.
Yeah.
There you go. So we're getting glare. Oh, there it is. All right. So it's got a 1K weave on it right there. It looks cool, and it adds a little extra durability kind of factor to it. 1K weave on the outside of the blank, and this is a gloss finish blank here. This is a SW80H, so heavy. This one, though, is not 80 inches. It's 80 as in 8 feet 0 inches. I know, it is what it is, but
keep you on your toes.
Here we go. An SW for saltwater. This is the Saltwater Series MHX. SW80H. This is an XF. It's not like bass, jerkbait, fishing XF. This is saltwater XF, which is probably closer to freshwater fast-ish.
Yeah.
So this is not extra fast like you're out there throwing a Vision 110 for smallmouth extra fast. It's a 20 to 50. There's no, excuse me, there's no lure rating on this. But remember, the Musky blank that was a heavy, that was what, like 2 to 6, is also a 20 to 50. So you can kind of draw parallels there. This is going to throw something like that. It is a little bit heavier, but you probably go up a little bit in durability. So some of us out there that are rod breakers, you might want to go with something like this. This is also another great blank. If you're going to be battling fish that like to drag you down into some rocks, this is great for big stripers. If you're pulling baits, if you're throwing giant lures for stripers in the Northeast. So, yeah, again, does more than musky, but it's a musky show. So if you want to throw musky in there with it, don't be afraid. Musky are mean enough to live in saltwater anyway. So,
yeah. And even within the Muskie series, going back to that full circle here, there are, plenty of other models besides the MU96H. I want to say there's at least 4 or 5, maybe 6 other models.
We're just hitting you with our favorites.
Yeah, that MU96H is a go-to for a lot of musky guys. We go up to 9 foot, 8.5. There's a couple, well, let me start at 8 foot. There's a few additional 8-footers.
Okay.
There's a few 8.5-footers. And the 9-footers are very, very popular. Although shipping is kind of a concern with some guys when you hit that 9-foot threshold. So it seems like a lot of guys are going with the shorter musky rods these days. And I think that's not just for musky per se. It's across fishing in general.
Yeah.
People are going with, seems like, shorter rods, or they're going to a 2-piece version, or a 70-30 split, something like that. So anyway, It's
I
not
know
just-
and speaking of that,
Yeah.
I know especially too, like when we were up there fishing with Wojo at Taps and Tackle in Wisconsin, and our guy Matt Steffen up there. Matt Steffen's a big guy. I mean, like, you know, like 6'4", 6'5", whatever, kind of a tall guy, and he still likes the 96H and not like a 9-footer. He just spends a lot of time around the boat, figure eight, and things like that. And when we get into handles here next, he even mentions that his handle length is probably shorter than most muskie fishermen because that's what he's comfortable with. Even though, you know, long arms, he's a tall guy. He's a professional bass fisherman, so he doesn't deal with 14 and 16-inch swim bait and muskie handles on a regular basis. So when he gets that longer handle in his hand and he's doing a figure eight and he's doing all that stuff, man, he's like, it throws me off. And then I'm not concentrating on fishing. I'm trying to make sure that I handle this deal. And so, yeah, that's where we're at.
Cool.
On blanks to consider.
Yeah. All right.
I also think this one has a 7 or a 7.5 tip, if I'm not mistaken.
So definitely got plenty of options to choose from. And as always, if you have any questions or specific questions on a blank maybe we didn't mention, but you think it would be good for muskie, reach out to our customer service team. Those guys are very sharp. They'll give you a great recommendation on, you know, if you're on the right track or not, or, you know, obviously they'll point you in the right direction. So,
Excellent.
cool. Let's do a giveaway. What you
Want to do a
think?
giveaway? Why not?
Let's do giveaway number 1. All right, so this is going to be an American Tackle guide kit of choice. Now, we do have, just released these about a month ago.
Okay.
We do have
Been popular.
some pre-selected kits that you can choose from.
Yeah.
Right, so we got some tie forged casting guide kits. We have these as spinning as well, high frame options, standard height spinning options. Also have these in the salvo guide frames or options that you can choose from. And like you mentioned earlier, Chris, if you want to go maybe the microwave guide kit route, we can obviously go that too. But these new tie forged casting guide kits and
I'm a
spinning,
big fan.
yeah, they're pretty good.
Now,
So
which one is that one? That one is that for a 9-footer?
that's up to 9 foot, I
up to a
believe.
9-footer.
Yep. So that's actually a great guide kit if
For
you are
muskie.
building a muskie rod.
Yeah, which we'll give you that one if you want it, but we'll also, you know, work with you on some other ones. All right,
Let's draw a winner.
Uncle Phil, let's hit that thing.
And as usual, we're going to have a first name, Zachary, and a last initial, J.
Okay.
Let's, we'll give it a few
Yeah,
seconds here.
so that goes to the war room, and then they look it up and come back to us with a last name. I don't know. I feel like J could go either way. I feel like it could be like Jones, or I feel
I think
like
I was
it
going
could
to say
be
Jones, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Zachary J. DeSell?
All right.
I'm going to say DeSell on that one.
All right.
Close enough. Congrats, Zach.
Yeah, right. Good job, Zachary J.
That was a middle initial. That's a first.
See you for a loop there. I love it. Congratulations. Live at mudhole.com is how you get a hold of us to claim that. And yeah, Zachary, if you want to do a little shopping while you're watching, American Tackle Guide Kit.
Yeah.
Let me know what you want. Okay. You know, I like I do like that when we went through and created these kits, even for something that's a 9-footer, which you know good and darn well that 9-footer is not going to be a bass rod.
Right.
I mean, unless you're throwing like an A rig or you're doing whatever, because the bass tournament length regulation went away, what, 4 or 5 years ago?
Yeah.
So the American Tackle tie forge not running out in like 8s is excellent.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yep.
I love it.
Absolutely.
All right, we need to talk about handles.
Let's do it. As we mentioned earlier, you know, the blank is obviously super, super important. You got to get on the right track with the blank. But for muskie, and again, you know, heavy freshwater, heavy inshore, the handle, the grips, the reel seat, that plays a big part.
Yeah.
So muskie rods, we're, you know, we're starting in that 12-inch, 14, upwards of 16-inch handle.
Yeah.
And what we mean by that is, the measurement from the back of your butt cap to the back of your reel seat. So put that up there.
Hang on.
Yeah, got the little reel seat deal. Put that on there. So we're talking about from the bottom of this butt cap to the back of that reel seat is somewhere in the range, starting at probably 12. This one, I believe, is 16.
Yeah, this is a hammer.
Yeah. So, and that can be dependent on, the length of your blank. Obviously, with a shorter blank, you're probably going to go a shorter handle.
Yeah.
9-foot rod or blank, you're probably going to be in the 14 to 16 inch range for your handle.
Yeah. And now that you mention that,
yeah,
when we talk about handle length, in every rod build, all of them, whether it's spinning, whether it's casting, if we ask you or you say, we're talking customer service, you're talking to us, whatever, and you're like, hey, the handle length is 12 or 14 or 9.5 or whatever. The reason we measure from here, the back of the reel seat, down to the very end, is because this section can vary, right? There are hundreds of reel seats, okay? Look at this reel seat, all right? This is a
PTRS.
Okay, so the palming reel seat, right? Look at the difference, okay? If you're like, oh no, I want it to be this long. Or if you have a spinning reel seat, you might have a barrel seat, you might have an arrow reel seat, there's so many different options. But if we're just measuring this handle section, then we can kind of stay on the same page, and then your reel seat is obviously going to dictate a little bit, but at least lengthwise we know where we're at. So when we're talking handle length, rear handle length, we're talking from the back of the reel seat where it touches the handle piece to the end of the butt. All right, there it is.
So what do you want to dive into first? You want to go through the carbon options and the cork? You want to
Yeah.
work? Yeah.
Let's talk carbon first.
Let's go with that one right there.
You want me to just go that one? All right, cool.
So
talk to me. Give me a part
this
number.
one, all right. Let me dig in my bags here.
That's why I hit you with it.
So this one is pretty unique because this is actually a kit.
This is a kit, and this is why we did this. This is a great kit option.
And I got my bag here because I need a part number.
That's a heck of a part number,
It
too.
is. So this is the G2 from American Tackle, one of the G2 carbon handles.
Yeah.
So you can buy the carbon tube
Just this
handle
one.
itself.
Yep.
Right? Now, this is a 16-inch, and it's labeled as a saltwater carbon handle, but as we have mentioned 10 times in this episode, just because it says saltwater, just because it says freshwater, doesn't mean you can't use it, vice versa.
Correct.
So with this kit, you get the handle, you get the butt cap, which mates to the handle perfectly.
And it has a little bit, it's not necessarily a weighted butt cap, but it does have a little bit of weight to it. And if you notice here, it's got a really nice tenon. It's hollow down in there that you can kind of see. The rubber on the end here is bonded to this, and it's nice. It is a pretty hard durometer rated rubber. It's not something that is squishy. It's not going to wear out. And of course, all of this piece is aluminum, and the tenon has an incredible fit. So, just trying to get the lighting here, right? So there you go.
So that's on the butt cap end.
Yes.
Now, if we move opposite end and go towards where the reel seat is, included in the kit, you get this nice little aluminum connector piece. One side, it has two tenons, right?
Correct.
One side of that tenon is going to mate inside your G2 handle. Yep. The other side is meant to mate to a casting reel seat. Bang. I mean, if you want to talk about simplistic and fits all together, this is the kit for you. It's great.
And it is sharp. I mean, real sharp. I love it. And it comes in a number of different finishes. Now, Also, something we want to talk about here. This is a 16-inch tube overall. There is some taper in here. Okay? Let me you can kind of see there's a little bit of taper in the center. About a third of it out this way and a third of it out this way is a straight taper. This end and this end are going to give you that more like inch to inch and a quarter type of a feel. I think the outer diameter here is a 1.1, which is what you find with most, excuse me, what you find with most like OD cork grips, right? And you can kind of see how it swoops in there in the middle. That's, you know, really cool. But this is like a 1.1, this is a 1.1. The section here and the section back here, there's no taper in it. You can cut this, okay? You can cut it from down here in the butt section. You can cut it from up here in the top section. If you want something that's 15 and a quarter, 14 and a half, this allows you, American Tackle gives you the flexibility to cut these. Also, there is no arbor in here, okay? No arbor. So, this is, you know, where the argument comes in. Do you use tape? Do you use mesh tape? What do you do? Of course, I'm using masking tape. All right? So, masking tape up your rod blank, do your arbors, and you're good to go. This is extremely lightweight. The wall thickness is very, very thin, but it is it's just very rigid, very lightweight. I like it. Yeah. I mean, I really, they've done a great job with that handle section.
I'm going to read off this part number real quick, just in case people want to know, or in case we weren't able to drop a link in there. So
sharpen your pencils with this part number.
Me. This is the long one. G2H16SW-M3K-S1. Any?
Yeah, and if you got that, that's also the password to our router. Exactly. Here on the back of the modem. So yeah, there you go. Anyway. That's actually where American Tackle got that part number. They were just like, what we ought to do is we'll look on the back of the modem, and that's how we're going to get our part numbers from now on. So anyway, yeah, no, there's a question in here. Chris Heller. Join late. Has Chris drawn on the whiteboard yet? It's my favorite part of the show. No. And it's gone. I think they threw it in the trash.
We took it away from him.
No more whiteboard, and especially not on this show. But maybe we'll bring it back. Amazon's late on the delivery, so yeah, we'll get a new one. All right, so yeah, this is a great question. How do you arbor if it's narrow in the middle? So it depends on where you're like, how you're putting it on and what you're doing. There is enough room here, okay? And in my like experience of putting it on and sliding it on and whatnot, there is enough room that I have seen to arbor and slide it up and arbor and slide it back down, okay? No, you can't get the arbor through the center here. Great question. Thank you for mentioning that. But you can arbor. There is enough length here. It's not just like an inch, right? Arbor, slide up, arbor, slide down. And you could stack 2 here and 2 at the bottom. Don't worry about the center. And of course, we're not filling this whole thing with glue. So please don't do that either. If you just absolutely, have to put arbors in here, just do the tape. Just do the tape, all right? That allows you a little bit of flexibility there, okay? What else we got?
Let's talk about this CFX. We got 2 different CFX grips up here before we get into cork.
Yeah.
So this one's kind of, this is a pretty cool design. The guys at CFX incorporated this is a CRB.
No. Is it?
It is.
RST?
Yeah. It's a CRB aluminum winding check or trim piece that fits SK2.
Okay.
So.
Why do I question you?
Right. I wondered that too sometimes, Chris.
I know.
So anyway, really cool design here. This is a 2-piece swim bait grip. And what's cool is you take this trim ring, you made it to the longer side with a tenon facing to my right, and your smaller grip will actually mate right there.
Pretty sharp.
So the 2-piece design, obviously the longer grip you have, just like we kind of talked about on with the last carbon grip, a long, 12, 14, 16-inch piece of cork or carbon or whatever can be a little tricky with reaming or just fitting together with arbors or this and that. So the guys at CFX designed this 2-piece swim bait grip that can obviously be used for muskie as well. It's got a tenon on that side. That side. Tenon on this side for your butt cap. And then going back this way, obviously that's going to mate up to a casting reel seat. So
that's the first time you've ever needed a wide angle hunter.
It's so funny. But anyway, 2-piece design, super slick, and goes together really nice and easy. Makes installing it very easy, which is a key piece in rod building.
And speaking of installing handles, since we're talking about now we're going to have to ream something. We really, really like the Flex Coat.
Let's pop one out of there.
This
goes on my tab anyway.
It does, doesn't it? Can I just tear it up? We don't have like a staple remover.
Yeah, just go for it.
Yes. Might have to just give this one away. All right, so this is a reverse pilot bit, okay? Justin, if you can come in here. 3/8, all right? They come in 4 sizes. If you notice, just like a normal pilot bit or spade bit, whatever you want to call this one, there's a cutting surface up here, right? You can see the cutting surfaces, right? But if you look down here, you've got cutting surfaces down here too, which means you take this reverse bit. You're gonna back out there on me. All right. You take this bit and you're going to thread it. Let's see which one this one is. And you're going to thread it down a grip that's a 250 ID. Okay. You can also, what is this one? This one is
3/8, 300.
300.
Yeah.
So this carbon one is bigger than 250, right? And we also have some cork grips that are now very smartly done, larger than a 250, especially when you have a long grip like this. This is then put through the grip first, okay? This is through the grip, right? Then we take it and we chuck it into a drill, okay? Then we take it and we pull it through like that. And I am not going to destroy this grip tonight. But that's how you work it, right? And then when you're done, come out like that. And now you have bored a center hole that is 3/8 that this bit is. This is, the 3/8 is the smallest size. The largest size is a 3/4 that we've got here. And we got a half and like a
5/8.
We have 5/8?
I think it's 3/8, half, 5/8, 3/4.
Okay. 4 sizes.
Yeah.
Whatever, it's on the website. 4 sizes. So this works great for your carbon, works great for your cork. It works great for your EVA. I don't know if we have. Let me pull this one. See if the whole world starts tumbling down here. Uh-oh. I know, I just wanted to get this camo on. So we also have the camo. This is a 250 ID. Since we didn't pull any EVA, I wanted to get that one. These are SM18 is the part number?
CM.
CM18? They are something -18. So you can see EVA is 18, the carbon is 16. You might not use an 18-inch grip, but it's a reverse pilot bit is good for some of these long, to try to open it up a little bit so you're not having to start from a 250 and work your way out to, like, you know, some of these blanks are going to be 3/4, you know, 0.75, 0.71, 0.68. It's a larger diameter butt section. So you're going to need that. A little trick that I like to use that freaks people out when they're reaming their cork. We're going to need to come in on this one kind of tight here. You can see this is a cork grip, all right? Really, you know, pretty decent cork, right? So this is an 11-inch cork grip with 2 tenons. The outer diameter of this is also 1.1. We've got a 250 inner diameter, okay? That's a lot of reaming for, to get it out to like a 0.75, a 0.71. Now, you can use the reverse pilot bits. It's great, but it's still going to be, you know, another step. What I like to do, and I've already done this, which you can't see it, but inside of here is a brace, but I have broken this grip. Hang on.
Nice snug fit.
Okay. So I bet nobody saw the seam on that grip. Okay. I do not cut these grips on a lathe perfectly. I have felt and seen, you can see the seam when it's a perfect straight seam way better than when it's now like that, like a puzzle, okay? Your eye is drawn to the straight lines of the rings on the cork, right? So when you have like a jagged piece, you don't notice it because it's going to fit together perfectly. So what we're going to do is we're going to break the cork, and now this is only here to hold it together, all right? This is an IRHT from an ice grip. So now what we're going to do is you're literally going to snap. I just freehand snap this cork. Just bang, right? And that's why you can see it's a little like high there, and right? Because I just snapped it. And then you're going to take it and you're going to ream 2 short sections. Like this one might be almost 6 inches. This might be 5 point something or whatever. It's a lot easier to ream and get better and get it perfectly snug fit, reaming something like this, than trying to ream an 11-inch section, and then when it doesn't work, and then you get a wobbly, and then you got to arbor it, and then there you go. You just put it back together and glue it.
It's like it never even happened.
It's like it was never even there. And there it is, right? So hopefully that gives you guys some kind of a, you know, deal. I also do this when I apply snakeskin, and I also started doing this when I apply abalone. I just have noticed that it's really easy to see a straight seam, and your eye kind of like goes to it because the abalone has kind of a weird patchwork puzzle type pattern, and a snakeskin has all those little tiny little scales that overlap and cross over like shingles on a roof. And if there's a line, a straight line, it's just going to draw right to it. So the cork has so many natural imperfections in it that I literally just take it and snap it.
Yeah.
Now, you know, don't go crazy, because if you snap it, you know, you get some pieces all flying off. But you can take it and snap it in a gentle way and still break it and still get away with it.
Yeah.
So, and like I said, then you just ream it and you put it on the blank and mount it, and you'll have a much better fit, you know, for that.
Yeah, that's such a great tip, and one that personally even I have not even thought of or tried before. People at home, I'm sure, probably have the same thought right now, like, why the heck would I break my cork grip? And I'm sure some of you at home have probably done that before.
Yeah,
and
Kurt just said
it.
there, I can't bring myself to break a grip on purpose. I know. If he wasn't paying for it, I probably wouldn't do it either. But,
Right. But it works though. I mean,
but it works very good. You
just
got to do
prove
it once
that.
or twice, and then
Yeah.
you can always come back in and like add a little bit of a patchwork if you get a little piece of booger that flies off, you can.
But
come
with a
back in.
straight cut, like the chances of you matching that up perfectly,
It's much worse.
slim chance. But with that puzzle piece effect,
Yeah.
it's going to go right back the way it was broken. So
For sure. The other option that I like doing when you're building on a larger diameter blank is we have multiple sizes of cork rings. We have ones that have, I think we have 3 different outer diameters. This is the larger OD cork ring. So this is a 1.5 inch ring. So that's a 1.5. This is your standard, and I say standard, like it's 1.25, right? So this is 1.25 that most people take and turn into a 1 inch grip, a 1 inch OD grip that you see on a bass rod, okay? This is a 1.5 OD that you're gonna find on, saltwater, musky, that kind of stuff. It doesn't mean that you can't get this one farther down, but if you need something with a larger outer diameter, there is this one that is 1.5. This one's 1.25. I'm sorry, 1.5, 1.25, and then I think we actually have one even smaller, right?
I think so.
I think there's one even smaller. I did not get that one, but so you have some options. And what I like to do is if you have a RBS Pro G2 at the house, I am going to ream each one of these cork rings individually and slide them down the rod blank. Every single cork ring is going to be perfectly sized to that rod blank. So it's really easy to ream, just a 1/2 inch cork all the way out. So wherever it needs to go, even if it's a 0.8, slide it down. Fit it, then you get the next one. Slide it down, ream it, slide it, ream it, slide it. Then you're going to build your handle up, and then you just take them off and stack them. And then you go back and you glue them individually, just like we've done a custom grip. Now, you don't have to do any crazy custom stuff. You can just use cork rings and glue it all together. But that's going to be the next level of the most precise cork handle fitting that you can get. You want to break it and ream a smaller piece, that's going to be great. If you want to get it where it is as perfect as you can get it, you need to do it ring by ring. And of course, Hunter, walking through the warehouse down there tonight, it was composite cork rings, there are burl, there's all kinds of stuff. So then you can get custom. Actually, I wish I would have notated his name. Earlier in the show, they were talking about, the guys in the war room were like, post some pictures and are you excited for the show? There was somebody in the show, I want to say his name was like Dave Gross or David Gross, or I don't know. He put up some really cool pictures of custom handles where he did like burl handles and he did, a mixture and some different things like that. I'm going to assume that he did it ring by ring. If he didn't, wow, more power to you. I would have done it ring by ring, but that's just because I'm probably not as talented as he is, because his cork and stuff looked great. He even had like some acrylic laid in there and stuff like that. So if you want to go the custom route, do it ring by ring, and it's really good. That's how I would do it if I was just doing cork and wanted to kind of spice it up. So
Cool.
Yep.
Let's talk reel seats. What do you think?
It's a natural progression, right?
Let me get these front and center here.
Okay.
We can talk about them. I gotta make sure I know what they are as we go down the line here.
Okay.
All right. So starting with my left, you better stay right there, bud. Okay. Two Fuji ones. Yep. Starting right here. So we got the GCRS from CRB. So this is a size 17.
Glenn was his name.
Glenn
Goss.
Cool.
Sorry about that, Glenn. My apologies.
So we got the standard casting reel seat from CRB. This is the GCRS size 17. We also move up to the size 18. Now, I believe these even go up to 20, but I think for most muskie and even some of the rods other applications we talked about tonight, you're probably going to be between these two right here. I would say even probably you think a 17 is more popular on muskie, or are you thinking 18? Probably 18.
Yeah, I think the 18 is probably more popular on factory built rods because they probably just either use a 16 or an 18 and don't even bother with a 17, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But if it's me and a 17 will fit it, I'll use a 17.
Now, moving away from kind of your, standard casting style reel seats, we have the American Tackle PTRS. So this is a palming trigger seat. In my opinion, this is probably one that, if I were to build a muskie rod, it would be something with a little bit larger or extended trigger because, again, these are heavier rods, heavier lures, heavier everything. Something with a little more support, especially.
And it backs it down your hand a little.
Yeah,
it's very interesting.
Got a little more. I feel like I'm a little more leverage in the palm of your hand.
Yeah, a little more security.
Yep.
Leverage. Yeah,
So-
because you're also using in terms of what a regular bass reel is, it would be like a size 70 or a size 100.
Right.
And then if you're throwing some larger swim baits for bass, maybe you go to a 200.
Mm-hmm.
But then you get the musky guys that are throwing 300s and whatnot.
Yep,
So
bigger reels for sure. So great seat from American Tackle. This comes in an 18 and also a 20. 18 is probably the go-to for a muskie. Now, moving into a couple of Fuji options, we have the ECSM and a size 17 barrel. 16 is kind of the run-of-the-mill, very popular, especially for freshwater bass fishing. This is a size up, so now we're at a 17. Comes in a variation of different inside diameter sizes. And we also have, very similar to the PTR, excuse me, lost my voice, PTRS seat, we have the Fuji PLSM seat. Very similar trigger style, a little more support, at the bottom of your hand with the reel and all that good stuff.
yeah.
So,
because I actually went to when I slow pitch off the skiff in South Florida, I actually went to that 300, 400 bait caster because I'm having to I'm targeting blackfin tuna, which are not, they pull, but they're not, they're not going to run off 200 yards of line on me. But I'm using 20-pound braid that's metered so I can count it down. But sometimes I'm fishing down to 300 feet, 280 feet. If I'm fishing for blackfins and I'm in 380 to 400 to 350, I might only be fishing off the bottom a little bit. And I will say, after a lot of drops with that stuff, to have a reel that has a level wind on it, like a 300 or a 400, like Daiwa Lexa or a Tranx or whatever from Shimano, it was nice, because most slow pitch guys are using the narrow, tall, round reel. But me using a bait caster and having the palming style seat, it adjusted it a little. And then, of course, I'm still at a bait caster. It's bigger. So that if I don't get an eat and I just need to burn it back to the surface as fast as I can, and I'm, you find out how far 300 feet down is when you're reeling up a 300 gram jig.
yeah.
So it's nice to go to that. And I noticed it when we were doing the musky thing. It was nice.
Yeah. Now, one thing I will say about, you'll notice, obviously, our heights here are, this American Tackle seat is quite a bit longer than the other seats up here. And actually, I think that's a benefit. What you'll see on some of these other shorter reel seats is you might be dealing with a reel that, due to the size or the length of the foot, you might actually run out of threads with this this hood right here.
Right.
With the AT seat, you actually have plenty of thread barrel to get that hood far enough away to give you enough wiggle room in here to get that reel seated into your fixed pocket and then you can, crank this hood down. Now, what I would do, and since we are building custom fishing rods,
I know where you're going with this.
I would take the reel that you're going to be using on this rod, and hypothetically this is your rod and, not for a customer or anything, but take that reel, seat it into your reel seat, put it into your fixed pocket, take your, movable hood, lock that down, get rid of the excess threaded barrel that you do not need. Just cut that flush. You can take a hacksaw, you can take a Dremel, whatever, a bandsaw, whatever you might need to
Because
use.
once you know how far that hood needs to come up to get that reel, and the second it comes out, I would mark it. And I'd,
you just need
get rid of it.
enough wiggle room on this side to where, the edge of your reel foot's going to be somewhere right in here. Just enough wiggle room to get, comfortable. Lock it down wherever it goes, and then, don't cut it. Let's say your reel's in there, you've got your hood screwed down. You don't want to cut here, right? Cut about right in here. Leave at least, say, 2 to 3 threads showing, and then get rid of these 2 to 3 that you don't need any longer.
For sure.
So, couple tips there for seats.
Love it.
Now, there's plenty of other options out there, but these, in our opinion, as we were scouring the warehouse, these are the go-to ones.
We were shopping. Now, I will say, for those that might have a question about when we say 16, 17, 18, 20, 22 size seat, that does not mean that the inside diameter is 16 or 15 or 22, depending on what it is. It can mean that when you get up into big saltwater stuff at times. But when you get a reel that you're building on your bass rod, you're going to build with a size 16 body. This is a Fuji ECSM, which, you might know that I'm partial to. This is a fitted reel seat, right? So it's exposed and it is fitted to your rod blank. The size 16 ECSM starts at like a 9-ish. And it goes, I think, to a 15. And what I mean by that is when you look at the ECSM, it'll say ECSM 16-9, 9.5, 10, 10.5, and it goes all the way up in half millimeter sizes, all the way to 15. When you get to 15, they run out of material in here to allow the difference between the inner and outer diameter. So what do? They have to make the body, the outside, a little bigger. When they make that a little bigger, it allows this 17 seat to be a 15.5, 16, 16.5. So what they're able to do is they're able to increase the inner diameters by increasing the outer diameter a little bit. And then you still maintain your fitted seat, a little bit of blank touch, and no arbors needed. Now, since we're talking about this, I don't know if too many people know, but if you look, and you're not going to be able to see it, so you're just going to have to take my word for it. Let me have that burnishing tool. So, the top of your reel seat on this Fuji ECSM, okay? If you look inside the barrel here, on the top of where it necks down a little bit, and I'm going to just stay right there, Justin. I'm going to see if I can. So you can see there's some ribs in there, right? Well, right there, before it gets down into the rib part, right there is a number. That number on this seat, it says 15.5. So 15.5, that's the size of your ECSM, okay? Fuji ECSM and ACSM seats have that in there. You didn't know it, now you know it. So if you've got a big bucket of Fuji ECSMs at the house and you forget, oh no, which is which, some of you might already know this, but it's right here. I just don't know if that, let me see if I can get, oh, you know what, if I slid over, no? Oh, there it is. Well done, men. There it is. 15.5, right there. The Zoom camera working overtime tonight.
That's good
I
stuff.
tell you what, he is trying to get that extra hot pocket. We got one extra hot pocket tonight, and I think he just won it right there. Maybe even a slice of key lime pie for the effort. So anyway, I know that took longer to get that in there, but now you know. So
Good stuff.
Yep.
All right. I think that's going to cover it for the handle section of your
Okay.
musky rod.
yes.
We did grips. We did seats.
Oh, real quick, the butt cap.
Yeah.
So we did talk about this butt cap that goes with the American Tackle. Here, I'll give you that back. The American Tackle saltwater seat. We have a similar kind of weighted. This is a CRB, very, very similar. It does not have a tenon on it, so it allows you to be a little more, open to whatever you put this grip up to. Most of the time you're going to see this grip, butted up to the EVA or the bottom of the cork if you're not using a tenon. So both of these weigh about the same. I want to say that this one actually weighs like, when we measured it, I think it was like 1.1 or
Right at an ounce.
1.05. Yeah, so right about at an ounce. This one kind of feels the same, just in like a weight test. So it'll give you about an ounce. A little bit of weight, but it does look sharp. This one comes in like 5 or 6 colors, 4, 5, 6 colors. This one does not, at least not yet. But this is the CRB weighted butt cap. It's really nice. It's just something you put an arbor inside of there and you're good to go. So that will in fact close out the handle section.
All right, let's do giveaway number 2 of the night, and we're going to do a carbon handle grip kit. So I'm assuming this will kind of be open-ended. If you want a CFX kit put together, you want you want to go the American Tackle route, and there's plenty of other options. There's not just this one 16-inch style, right? We have other length options, and the same for CFX as well. So depending on what you want for your different type of rod. Anyway, let's run that giveaway and see who the lucky winner is. Tate H.
Okay.
Tate H. Stand by for that last name, although
Are you worried?
I don't think there's too many Tates in the chat. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Sure he's he, or I would assume he. But hey.
It's 2024. You got to be careful. I can't believe you just...
Tate Huber. Tate
Cool.
Huber.
All right.
All right.
Cool. If this broadcast ends and then it just the plug gets pulled, you know what happened.
We know why.
Yeah, that's it. All right, moving on. So let's go to a guide to musky guides, and we'll give you some tips on tips. Okay?
Yeah.
That's what we're gonna do. I'm just reading off of here. I'm not making this stuff up. Yeah. So.
All right, the guide to guides.
The guide to guides.
Yeah, let's start there.
Hunter, man, what you got for us?
All
buddy?
right, so let me. I gotta move my. I don't have a funny saying for real seats, unfortunately, but let me move these out of the way.
Yeah.
Guide to guides. So what we have. So for one, like we mentioned earlier, if you just want to go the easy route, which is not necessarily the bad route to go.
Correct.
Easy and simple are a couple great words in my vocabulary. I love to use those all the time.
Well, and you're going to get good ones. You're not getting like bottom of the barrel cheap, like, oh, we just, got the Amazon brand.
Tie Forge Casting Guide Kit.
Yeah.
Nanolite. We have Duralite as well. These are one of the go-tos in the building right now for guide kits. So this is the polished color option, which in my opinion is super sharp. It's not a bright chrome finish. It's actually got a little bit of a very, very light gunsmoke gray color to it. Sharp looking guides. These are also tangle free. So if you're worried about, catching your line when you're doing those figure eights, or even,
right?
flipping and pitching every once in a while, you get caught up when you're flipping and pitching. These will help alleviate that issue. So trying to get that color in there a little bit with the glare. So anyway, in the casting guide kits, we got these, up to 9 feet. So again, I think this is probably a size, what do you think, 12?
Yep.
I'd say it's a size 12. Running guides go down to size 6s, which for a musky rod, in my opinion, is ideal.
That's good.
To go down to size 6 running guides. So anyway, great starting point there if you're just looking for an easy, quick, great option to go to. Tie Forge Casting Guide Kits. check those out. Now,
This is a good point. Really quick though.
sure.
Somebody said your website says they're steel. Tie forged comes in multiple materials.
It does.
We know it says tie forged. There are titanium options. There are stainless steel options in the tie forged line. So make sure when you're clicking through your selections, it will give you a titanium option. It will give you a stainless steel option. And that is because the shape of the frame is so good that they expanded it out to additional materials based on, you know, your cost and your preference and coloring and things like that. So that is why. Great question. Thank you for, you know, mentioning that, Michael. Yes, there are steel and titanium in the tie forged line. All right, keep going.
All right, let's get I'm gonna probably have to move these around, but let's get a little zoom.
Probably.
Actually,
That's pretty sharp.
let's start right there.
So
So
that hot pocket.
up here on the front, we've got American Tackle. We're gonna stick with American Tackle, and we're gonna do the Typhoon guides. So Typhoon is a great line of guides if you're looking for something, let's say, in the 15 upwards of maybe 30-pound class.
Okay.
20 might be pushing it a little bit, but great guides if you're looking for something that's a little bit heavier than your typical, you know, double foot casting guide. But you don't want to really go to a saltwater guide. These Typhoons bridge that gap, and
Okay.
they're perfect for musky rods. Obviously, again, double foots. We got a little bit of, you know, increase in ring height, which pairs perfectly with the larger reels that you're going to be using on musky rods. And it doesn't just stop there. If you're looking for, you know, heavier freshwater, light, heavy inshore, these guides are really, really great option. Now, moving to the what's going to be on the left side of your screen, we're looking at the LZR MD guides.
Yep.
Very similar frame styles, accomplish kind of the same line class, the same application. Great for, you know, that medium to, you know, heavier freshwater. Can also be great for inshore rods. LZR ring, in my opinion, is one of the best ones out there for price point and quality. Very thin ring.
And I use it in saltwater a lot.
Yes, can do well in saltwater. Of course, we got both of the, you know, chrome options up here right now. Now, moving along, I'm going to go to these guides, which these are also
See if you can back them up towards you a little bit to get them out of the shadow.
Like over here?
Yeah, well, not, you don't need to go that far. But yeah, we just,
These
because
are-
you were setting them up in front of
okay.
the LZRs and such. Maybe turn them just a little.
This way.
Yeah.
We don't want to stand up.
No, well, they're little. So.
Yeah, they are very small.
And they're light because those are the titanium tie forge, right?
These are just the tie forge. These are not titanium.
Okay.
These are stainless tie forged, but we are going back to tie forge because, and I'll let you speak on the, man, I cannot get this little guy to,
Yeah.
it's okay. He'll be fine.
Shaky in here tonight.
So,
we got a hurricane coming.
we do have a hurricane coming.
And in all seriousness, please, if you are in the route of that thing, we're thinking about you.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're going to be skirted, thankfully, but, you know, we're thinking about y'all, promise.
Absolutely. So what we have here, we're going to go back to the Tie Forge family of guides. We have the same double foot options that come in the kit that we showed earlier. These are in the black frame instead of polished. But what we wanted to show you guys is these double foot guides go down to a 5.5. The one I'm pointing to right here is a 5.5 ring option and a double foot casting guide.
Yes.
6, 7, 8.
This is why I like those.
Yes. The and I'll let you speak on this in a minute, but what I wanted to say here is a 5.5 double foot is not common. So if you're looking for, you know, this could work not just for musky rods, but even if you're using this for maybe, you know, some of your freshwater bass rods. You know, you and I typically go with a double foot 6 to start on our freshwater bass rods.
Not, but on my flipping stick, I go down to that one.
You go down to, exactly. So if you're looking for, you know, a stripping guide that's the smallest you can go, and you're stuck with a 6 in most other brands and or guide series, 5.5 tie forged double foot guide could be the ticket.
Yeah.
And could solve the issue you're running into.
And
Now,
this is also where there's some chat going on in the chat here. This is also why we bring this to y'all's attention, because if you're running straight braid on a musky rod and you are concerned about running a 5 or a 6 runner, single foot runner, you now have an option to run a double footed guide in a low profile style, in a 5.5 or a 6, and still, we're going to show you here in a second, and still have a tip top that you can run a 5 or a 6 and run all the way up to a 7.5 tube size, which you'll find on the MU96H.
Yeah.
So that's why we like to talk about being as low profile as possible. If you are doing just like with our flipping sticks, it's why I run size 4 running guides, because I don't want the line hanging up on my size 5 or size 6 runners. It's unnecessary. I'm running straight braid. So the same with a muskie. If you are running straight braid and you can get away, if your blank has a small enough tube size and you can get down to a 7.5 tube, you can run a 5 or a 6 in a ring. There's absolutely no reason to be running 8s and 10s as running guides. You're going to have a better chance of hanging your line when you're figure eighting, and then if that fish eats it and you're hung up halfway up your rod or a quarter way up your rod, you're just going to have to rewrap all your guides, because the muskie's going to snatch all those guides off. So that's why we're trying to work in the smallest ones we can. I haven't personally, again, I've caught one muskie, okay? But I have slow pitch jig, caught amberjack, blackfin tuna. I have caught sailfish, all on single foot guides, and we use single footers with 65-pound braid when we're flipping. I have not, laid down any single foot runners on any of those applications and putting a lot of pressure on it. But you don't want to take my word for it, and you still want to run double foots, run the 5.5 or 6 double foot tie forged, right? What was that part number? I got it right here. It is a DBTDF. Okay?
Cool. So I took this just to, we're kind of bouncing all over the place here, but just to show you guys a full guide train example, and we'll give a few caveats or exceptions here in a minute, but musky rod.
Yeah.
I'm going to start with, I'd say probably around a 12. I think you could even get away with maybe a 10, depending on what reel you're using.
Especially if you're using like a low pro 300.
Yeah. So you're going to start with a stripping guide somewhere in the range of a 16 to a 10. 12 is probably going to be your go-to. And then from there, you can easily move into single foot running guides if you want to.
Yeah.
So this is, I'd say, probably like a 10 or an 8.
If I'm going to single foots, I think multiple double foots is a little overrated.
I agree. So double foot, 12 we'll say, 10 running single foot running guide, 8 single foot running guide, and then we're going to finish this out with however many
6s.
Single foot size 6 running guides that you need there. This is the exact kit that you'll get if you do the Tie Forge Casting TFCNP-90.
Yep.
This is up to a 9-foot rod. I'm guessing this is probably 12 or 13 guides, plus a hook keeper. Now, you could...
Your dad designed that guide kit, so
did.
I can promise you there ain't 13 guides in that kit.
You're right, actually. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
What'd I tell you?
You're right.
Promise you.
Yeah.
Bob ain't putting 13 guides on it. No way. He put 16 or he'll put 12. He ain't putting 13.
No 13.
No
right.
way.
Yep. So, again, you could go with a guide kit, keep it super simple, but if you want to create your own guide train, I recommend start with a 12. And then from there, you can kind of decide, do I want to do single foot running guides or do I want to do double foot running guides?
Yeah.
If you go the double foot running guide route, try to get your ring size down to the smallest that can accomplish what you're targeting, what you're fishing for.
Yeah.
In my opinion, that would be a size 6, or you could even go to that 5.5 double foot tie forged. Don't run a double foot 12, a double foot 10, and double foot 8s all the way out. That is way overkill.
Yeah.
It's not necessary. Either go down to 6s, go down to 5.5. Try to get those rings as small as you can while still accomplishing the tasks that you want to.
Yeah.
Because you're going to save weight, you're going to save thread, guide wraps, epoxy, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
So.
And to answer the question here, Nate asked, do you do locking wraps on single foot guides? I don't do locking wraps on any single foot guide ever, and I don't have an issue with guides pulling out on any rod I've ever built. I don't like doing a locking wrap, mainly because I don't want the thread up the guide that far, which can like grab your finish and wick it up. It creates like a weird turtleneck effect of the finish coming up the guide. I just don't think it's necessary. Granted, I'm not gonna say you're doing it wrong. I just don't do it on mine, and I've never noticed a guide, pulling out from under that. I also don't wrap a guide and put color preserver and then put finish on it. So maybe there's a, also, in terms of what you were saying about like transitioning down, if you start with like a 16 because of a real height, you don't need to do like 16, 12, 10, 8, 7, 6s, right?
Yeah.
Get it down and then run it out.
Yeah, you can skip a size.
Yeah, you can skip
skip
a couple sizes in there. And now also, something that you guys can totally be mad at me about, I'm going to say that even if you have a rod blank, and this is, for muskie, especially if you want to keep your guide sizing down, it's going to look maybe out of the ordinary, and I might catch, a little bit of fire for this. But when you're figure eighting and you've got your rod tip in the water, if you want to keep your guides as low profile as possible, but your tip size is like an 8, and you can't do a 5 or a 6 as a tip ring, I'm okay with running some short guides out and then having to step up the tip. I know that sounds ridiculous, and it looks a little ridiculous, but we also have to remember, going from like a 6 or 5.5s to an 8 tip top at the end, we're throwing a bulldog or a whatever that might weigh 2 to 3 ounces. If you think that little, right, is going to affect a little bit of casting distance with a 2, 3, 4 ounce lure, you're going to lose sleep over a lot of stuff at night.
Yeah, you got bigger problems.
Yeah. So I know it's out of the ordinary, and I know it might look a little ridiculous, and no, I don't recommend doing that on the regular because you don't necessarily need to. It's not like you're going to run like 4s out on a bass rod and then go do a size 7 tip top, because you don't need to, because there's the sizes are there. But if you have to run like an 8 tube size and you have to run the larger ring size, I'm going to look the other way and pat you on the back and say, good for you for bucking the system and running some 6s or 5.5s out and then put the tip on there and let it roll. I'm cool with it, but I wanted to get that out there,
stir the pot
and let you guys fry me on live. So anyway, there you go.
Tips on tips. We did guide on guides. Tips on tips.
Okay.
We're going to talk about one tip.
Yes.
And one tip only.
Okay.
And this is perfect because these tips pair great with the American Tackle guides, whether it's Typhoon, whether it's Tie Forged, because you can match it up to Nanolite, Duralite.
Yep.
The American Tackle, and I can't really hold this properly, but you guys will get it. the American Tackle medium duty ring lock tip tops. Now, great looking tip. You got a nice brace that goes from the ring. I'm going to try to stay in focus here, but you got the frame on both sides that goes from the ring all the way down to the bottom of the tube. So you got some great structure here. Solid tip top. But let's talk about why we prefer this tip over any other tip, because this tip comes in 5-ring, 6-ring, and I believe 8-ring in a 7.5 tube.
Yes.
Now, why is that important? Because most of the blanks we discussed earlier, especially the Musky blanks, the MU96H, has a 7.5 tip. 7.5 tip is not very common in a low ring size.
Correct.
A 5 and a 6 in particular. You'll find it in an 8 all day long.
8 and up.
8 and up. But you get down to a 5-ring, a 6-ring tip, a 7.5 tube is not common. Most of the time they actually stop at a 6.5, not even a 7. So you're limited on options there. And that's why we recommend American Tackle medium duty ring lock tips. It's a mouthful. For that very purpose, because of the range of sizes in low ring sizes. Tube sizes in ring sizes. Yeah, whatever. You guys get it.
Yeah.
What time is it?
8:10.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, I'm going to put this down now.
Yeah. So
That's about it for tips.
And to bring up the bulldog situation, yes, I am totally not versed in, if this is 3 to 4 or if it's 7 to 9 or if it's whatever. So yeah, I apologize with that. And I do agree about people knocking rings out in their tip tops because they don't pay attention to the leader coming in. Totally get that. But for some of us that do pay attention and enough to get super technical when building a rod, and for some of you guys and gals in here, you build a nice enough rod. I mean, and that's the understatement of the century, that I'm going to pay great money for it. If I'm musky fishing and I've paid the money that some of you guys deserve for the builds that I've seen, I'm going to keep an eye on that leader coming to that tip top. I am not going to knock that tip ring out with a leader, with a lure, or anything. I totally understand where you guys are coming from, completely. But if it's me, I want to build the small stuff. And yes, I might even, put a larger ring and a smaller running guides and things like that. But for y'all that have to worry about customers and warranties and doing stuff like that, that's a whole nother world that we let our Mudhole Advantage team deal with here. I just like to stir the pot a little and say yeah, it might look a little ridiculous, but it does work.
Yeah.
It does work. And I do say, love that tip top. And as we mentioned earlier, the FP series of MHX rod blanks, when they were designed from the start, we said this line of FP 885, 935, 936, 937, these blanks 100% have to have a 6.5 top. Can't be any bigger. And that was before American Tackle had a 7.5 tube size with a 5 and a 6 ring. Because before we were having to use like Fuji Micros that had a 6.5 tube and small rings and such. So that's just something to keep in mind, how all of this has kind of evolved and why we key in so hard on something that might seem so small, like a tip-top size. So the FPs were designed with a 6.5, and then of course now, because back before the FPs, we had guys building flipping sticks out of musky blanks. So, and big names were doing it. So not just people that walked in here and were like, oh, this feels like a flipping stick. No. Very, very well-respected and big names were building some incredible flipping sticks out of a musky blank. But they were running into the issue of this tip size is a 7, a 7.5. I don't have a ring for it. So MHX FP series 6.5.
Yep.
So that's why we pay so much attention to this, because we had to. So anyway, what else?
I think that's going to do it.
Hook keeper? I'm using an enclosed hook keeper.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like I always use a drop shot hook keeper, whether it's the CRB Arrow or the DSHK. But this one is actually kind of small, to be honest with you, for me. There is a small and a large. It depends on the gauge of your hook. That'll still get it though, you know. That'll still get it done, barely. But use the large one. The reason for that is if you're running down the lake and you got one of those big things, big whopper plopper or something, I want my hook keeper to be as secured as possible, or my lure in my hook keeper as secure as possible. Mm-hmm. And for those that do, for the 4 of you that read the blogs that I write once a week that are on mudhole.com, the Rod Building Journal, there was a Musky blog recently. We go over all of this stuff, and we also shout out to Wojo, that was our guy that showed us around up in Wisconsin, musky fishing, when we went up there to fish with Matt Steffen. And also, the hook keeper is kind of a blog joke for me because I'm a stickler on hook keepers, and I usually, in rod recipes, end the blog with a hook keeper that I like, just because it's kind of silly, but it's something I pay attention to. Yeah. So,
all jokes aside, the blogs are excellent, by the way.
I don't know.
They are a weekly must-read, whether it's a musky build. One of the past couple weeks ago, you did the tickle stick for lobster.
It was ridiculous, but it was fun. It works. We had a good time with it.
You think at home like, oh, I don't have any lobster near me. Read the blog. There's a couple of nuggets in there about things that you might pick up, the length of the thread that matches up to, you know, the regulation of the lot. Like, there's little tidbits in there, just like this show, that you might really enjoy and get some useful info out of.
And speaking of the blog this week is something that I think is going to be great for, since we're talking about guides right now, we are going to discuss guides that have rings, like ceramic inserts in them, whether it's Nanolite, Duralite, SIC, versus guides that you might call ringless. Now, they still have a ring in them. It's not a ceramic ring. They do have a liner in them. You know, you might have a double swaged stainless steel ring. When you look at it, you might see that like, oh, there's no ring in here. So we'll call it ringless, but it doesn't have a ceramic ring. It's a stainless steel type of an insert. But we're going to talk about why maybe one is better than the other in certain situations, the pros and cons and things like that. So that'll drop if you're on our mailing list. That'll drop. Usually you get that, if you're Eastern Standard Time, you get that like Friday midday, Friday morning-ish. So the guys, it's a big team effort. I write it, yes, but I also get red penned in there. The guys come in because like a lot of my thoughts don't come out great with commas and apostrophes as they should. But then of course we were talking today because Hofma is graphic design team lead, doing merchandising and all this stuff. Fantastic. His eyes are on it. Uncle Phil, Coleman, Justin, they're in here shooting it, editing it. Birdman's putting his little touches in there. So it's a big team effort. So it ain't just me writing the blog. It's everybody's involved in it. So since we were talking about it, I got to give a shout out to everybody else. Because yes, my name is on it, but that's just a fraction of it. So
awesome.
Anyway, what else do we have? Do we have some rapid fire Q&A? I don't. The problem is that I don't really see the starred questions anymore in this. Are they in here? Yeah, I know. Go ahead, huff and puff. No? There's 50 starred questions? How am I missing it? Huh? Oh. But I don't see the... You remember how on the other one there were like starred? It's not in here. Because I can see like a comment thing that's like locked, or it's like locked comments. It says private chat. But I don't see... Hang on, what's this? Whoa, no, that's extra camera, share screen. We don't need all that. Boy, that's... Hang on. Nope, that's users. Okay, well. We ain't doing that. Oh, is that where it's at? Hang on, let me maximize it. Nope, that doesn't do it either. Cool. All right, hashtag restream. What? I don't see it. Anyway.
Oh, maybe next time. We'll try it out. See if we can
Yeah.
dig in a little bit and have it ready for next time.
It says, Nate FN Rods, am I a starred question or will be get a haircut? Okay. Cool. I actually just got a haircut. I thought it looks kind of nice. Whatever. If I could see your picture, I might comment on your haircut or beard, but I'm not going to do that.
All right. Well,
So it's 8:18, and I think we've had a pretty good show so far. We need to give away the final
we do.
giveaway, and that is a Musky or Muskie, I-E or Y, Muskie Rod Kit. And as we mentioned earlier, we do have some favorite blanks that we mentioned, but if you have, I know there have been some excellent, oh, he was talking about Jake's mullet. I was going to say, you know, I understand, not me, but yeah, Jake's mullet. He might need a little trim, you know? It's not a mullet anymore? Yeah, you can't call it a mullet anymore. He can't ride the mullet train right now. Is it? Yeah, it is. It's very, you know, it does flow nice. You know, he's doing the whole jumps in the water per day thing. So anyway, we are, oh, had a little connection lost there. Let's go ahead and do the last giveaway. Are you getting a connection loss? Interesting. Okay, good. If it's just me, I don't care about me. All right, so Muskie Rod Kit, again, live@mudhole.com is the email to get to me, and we'll walk you through, you know, drop me some stuff in there and say, I want this or that and the other, and if we got it, I'll send it to you. All right.
Now you got me curious. Is it IE or is it Y?
I've seen it both ways.
Patty G.
Patty G.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, man.
I like where this is going.
Come on,
We'll see. What's that last name? Starts with a G. Patty.
Coming from the war room. Play the drums.
Oh.
Yes. This is fantastic.
Man.
All right. Give it to us, Hunter. What does it say?
I'm going to go with Guinu. Guino? Guinoo. That's a tough one.
You think?
Patty with an I.
That might be the best one we've had.
Yeah, that's hard. That's a tough last name. Either way, congrats.
Patty.
We appreciate you being in here and watching, although I'm not a big fan of your last name.
Just tell it like it is.
I would like to know how to pronounce it, though.
Even like looking at it on the teleprompter is like, Patty with 2 T's, an I, and
keep
and
an eye on
last
that
name
chat.
with 2 O's?
I'm curious if maybe she'll pop in there and say...
That's it. That's a heck of a win. Gino?
Gino?
G-I-N-O is... So it says G-I-N-O with that. So I'm guessing Patty Gino? Maybe Patty Gino with the two O's on the end? I don't know. Patty, I promise you we're not making fun of your name. We're having a ball up here, and it's just part of the fun.
Making fun of ourselves.
We hope that Hunter gets a name like that, you know?
All 3 tonight were fairly
They weren't like Mike Jones.
No, right?
Who? Anyway, all right. So it is 8:22, and Justin earned his extra hot pocket this evening. So we gotta get out of here. It is cold now. We need to tell Patty to heat it up. So the next show is going to be a good one. We're going to be talking decorative stuff, and in particular, we're talking decorative dragon scale. There's a couple ways to do a dragon scale. There's like one way that's considered maybe cheating, and then there's one way that's maybe considered not cheating. Those are y'all's words, not mine. It's going to be episode 115, and golly, we're going to be in October already.
Wow, that's crazy.
October 22nd, and that's, of course, a Tuesday night, 6:30 Eastern. Hunter will be here with me, as always. And we're going to make him do some dragon scale stuff. We're gonna drag out the RBS Pro Power Wrapper. It's going to get it up here. We're going to get the calipers out, maybe even a butt wrap alignment tool. Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe.
Anyway, so that is coming up on Halloween. I don't know. Maybe we'll get Hunter to dress up that night or something. So thank you guys tonight very much. I know that not everybody fishes for muskie, but hopefully y'all have learned something that you can take to your heavy freshwater rod, your snook rod, your tarpon rod, or just, you know, if you get the stones up, to take that cork and snap it. It's liberating, I tell you. It's fantastic. Anyway, thank you to everybody in the war room tonight, those that were here and those that were remote. You know, of course, we get Hoffma and Kevin and Coolman and Birdman, and they're all in there. They're the ones that are putting these links in here, making sure that everybody's signed up for giveaways, the links to all these great products that we've got going on tonight. Of course, we had the Zoom man tonight, and it's a little late. Is it a week late? Happy birthday. So his birthday, you know, he's legal now. So the Zoom man tonight, Justin. And then, of course, Steve was in the war room. I know he was kind of manning, running not the ones and twos in there. He's running the threes and fours. Yeah, so, and then, of course, Uncle Phil on the ones and twos tonight, making sure everything goes well and that we get really good names to pick.
I think I was sabotaged tonight, I swear.
I think it was good. I think we're going to keep it going. As much as I don't like the display here, the name picking, we need to stay with it. But Hunter McCamey is my left-hand man. I am Chris Adams, and we will see you in October for the decorative dragon scales, and keep an eye for those that get our newsletters and all that stuff. I think it's next week we'll be releasing the giveaway links. So make sure to go ahead and get registered for the giveaways and get ready for the show coming in a week. And then that way you can just watch, enjoy the show. You're already entered. And even if you don't make the show live, you can always still win. So we'll see y'all in October for decorative dragon scale. Hope y'all have a great night. And for those in the path of the hurricane up in the Panhandle and the Southeast, I promise you, we're thinking about you. If Mudhole has to close, watch our social media, keep an eye out. We will put a notice and say we're going to be closed, or we're, you know, for X number of time, hours, whatever. You can still shop on the website. But if we're not here and we got the windows boarded up, give us a break, and we'll be back in here, I promise you, as quick as we can, because we don't want to be stuck at home with family. We'd rather be here, I promise you. All right, we'll see y'all in October. Have a great night.
Thanks for watching.